Hello and welcome to another episode of The Comic Shop Show. I'm your host, Chris Bredeman, owner of Atlanta, Georgia's Infinite Realities, comics, games, and more. We're coming off the heels of Thanksgiving. Hope everyone was able to eat to their heart's content, or stomach's content, as the case may be. Hope your Thanksgiving was drama-free. And if it wasn't, I hope you at least made it out as unscathed as possible, and resting easy knowing you don't have to see Uncle Mel or Grandma Iris or whoever it was who insisted on sharing their garbage opinions at dinner until next year. Let's talk about today's guest, Van Jensen. Van came into comics by way of journalism. He was a beat reporter for a daily paper, and in his spare time, he and another fella put together a comic called Pinocchio Vampire Slayer. He took that comic to Heroes Con in Charlotte, North Carolina one summer, got it into the hands of some big-name creators, and next thing you know, he was writing comics for DC like Green Lantern Corps and The Flash. He's also done work on properties like James Bond and Godzilla, and his creator-owned work includes kick-ass books like Cryptocracy and ARCA. He's a super talented comic writer. And novelist, it turns out. His debut novel, Godfall, proved pretty popular, not just with schlubs like me, but with folks like Ron Howard. You know that guy? Richie Cunningham, Opie, director of flicks like A Beautiful Mind, Willow, The Da Vinci Code, Frost, Nixon, Splash. One of my favorites, Gung Ho. Yeah, that Ron Howard. He liked Godfall so much that he optioned the book for a TV series. So what is it like going from the grind of comics to the gilded glamour of Hollywood? Well, we talked about that and a whole bunch of other things. Enjoy. I would like my first question to be, given your body of work, everything, the themes you work in, the stories that you seem to be attracted to, are you just accessing Project 2025's missing epilogue? Because I feel like I read it and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is where we're headed, whether it is bunkers ruled by the elite because we've destroyed the Earth, or because it's secret families ruling everything, celestial entities involved.
Yeah.
What's the deal here, man?
I mean, the funny thing about writing is I get this question a lot of like Godfall, my novel, right, it's a sci-fi book, it's a murder mystery, but it's also like about urban, rural, political divide. And everyone's like, oh, you wrote this book in like 2020, right? Like you had to write this book in 2020. And I was like, oh no, I had this idea in 2014, 2015. And I mean, even like, Nate Powell and I did that graphic novel, Two Dead, with Gallery 13. And it's like it's a crime noir historical book that's set in the post-World War II South. So it's kind of like if LA Confidential was set, post World War II South.
Yeah, it's a killer book,
and it's really about the impacts of bad policing, right? So it's about race and police, and there's like right after that is the George Floyd killing and Black Lives Matter and just all this stuff, and people again are like, oh, like you wrote this book in reaction to that. It's like, no, yeah, you just like you write the stuff that comes to you. But I do think that there's a part of it where, I'm a former journalist.
Right.
I'm always keeping up on what's going on in the world. What are the things I'm seeing? What are the sort of like sociological things going on? I'm a big believer in like the mass unconscious, like what's happening in the world and what's affecting people. And so I try to have a sense of that stuff, and I want to write about stuff that is thematically topical.
Well, yeah, a lot of your writing, I don't know, you know this, I used to be a reporter too. Like, yeah, you do have that, I want to see how the sausage is made mentality. And that just seems all of your work, almost all of it, I'll say all of it, even Pinocchio, like has that, like, no, we're going to pull back. And you take these big ideas,
Yeah.
and I'm going to use Cryptocracy because that's one of my favorite ones you've done.
Yeah.
Like you take this big idea of these 9 families that rule the world secretly from the shadows,
Right.
very X-Filesy. And I love it. You start peeling back, boiling it down to just human nature.
Yeah. Well, it's and this is I'll get a little like writer nerdy.
Do it.
Here. So the thing that I always fall back to, because I like to write genre stuff. Always like everything I do is gonna be genre in some way. And genre, it's fun because it has all these trappings and all this weird stuff, and you can get really sci-fi and geeky, or you can get really like world buildy and fantastical, or you can go into horror, whatever. But there was this thing that Samuel Taylor Coleridge, the writer, the British writer, he wrote at a period of time where it was like, you write stuff that is just the like lay of the land, basic truth, like nothing weird, just slice of life. Like this is the fiction that it was written in that era. Everything was just so down on the ground, basic. People living their pretty ordinary lives. And he reacted against that. And he was like, no, man, like I want to write weird stuff. I want to write about ghosts and
Xanadu did Kubla Khan.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so he wrote this essay that is kind of his treatise on this. And what he said is, if you write real human emotion, that your audience will suspend their disbelief for the story, for any fantastical elements. And so that's the actual source of the phrase suspension of disbelief. And, we think of suspension of disbelief as it's the job of the audience. Like, oh, I'm gonna read a sci-fi book, or I'm gonna watch a fantasy movie. Like, I need to just accept that they're elves.
Right.
And what he is saying is, no, it's actually the job of the writer to craft such realistic human emotion that the audiences, they just don't care about. It's like the fantastical stuff doesn't bother them because the emotions are so real. And so that's kind of, I think, ultimately what I go to is like, yeah, I want to come up with the craziest idea and have fun with it. But then ultimately it's like, I treat Pinocchio Vampire Slayer.
Right.
Totally silly book. And the whole way through, I'm like, this is a real person. This is a kid who is going through some shit, and I want to go like explore that journey with him.
Well, there's an earnestness to that. Like, to your point, I think that some writers put too much expectation on the audience to do that heavy lifting for them.
Yeah, I mean, you can always get into criticizing different things or different approaches, right? And I always just say it's like it's what resonates with me. And so if I'm watching something or reading something and it's just like I don't buy that there's anything real going on with these people, I'm just like, I'm out. It's just not. It just doesn't do it for me. And so I'm like, if I'm writing something, I'm going to spend years with this thing. Like, I really better like it.
Well, that's why Godfall is such an amazing novel, because it's such a fourth world concept. Giant space god falls to Earth, but ultimately it's about a guy, small town sheriff, trying to do the best job that he can.
Right.
And live his life while this Kirby-esque thing is happening over there.
Yeah.
And for me as a reader, I was bought into that world because I'm never going to be the guy that finds the space god, but like I know what it's like to do your job under very interesting, difficult conditions.
Yeah, and I give a lot of credit to so I had that Godfall came originally, like I had kind of a fever dream. Like I picked up some bug from my kids, and so I was, it was like,
kids are the worst.
Because kids are the worst. They get you with everything, and had like the flu or something. I mean, it was bad, and there was a story in the news of this asteroid that was kind of like near Earth going through space, and the image of it kind of looked like a giant skull.
Yeah.
Going, it was again like 2014, 2015. And so I had seen that, and then I'm like passed out, sweating, sick as a dog. And I had this dream of this giant alien, 3-mile-ish tall alien falling out of the sky and landing in western Nebraska, which is where I grew up. And woke up and was like, oh man, like that's something. Like I don't know what that is, but that's something. I gotta do this thing, right? And so then I got into it, and then I was like trying different ways of like what's my angle into it. And I knew this book is going to be about urban people coming into a rural space and the conflict between these communities. And I knew that there's going to be big weird sci-fi stuff going on, and I kind of felt right away. I was like, I feel like there's an interesting murder mystery to do, kind of genre mashup thing to do here. But I didn't have the angle on it. And I was talking to Rob Venditti, the writer who's, great comic book writer, longtime friend of mine. And I had kind of, all like a bunch of different characters that I thought were going to be part of the ensemble. And I thought that it was actually going to be like an outsider FBI agent who was the main character, who had like grown up in town, moved away, and then got sent back. And so I sat down with Rob and like talked. And he's like, hey man, make the main character the sheriff.
Just like that.
Just like that. And I was like, oh yeah. Yep. That's
You're
it.
smacking yourself on the head. Yeah, duh.
Yeah, the most obvious thing. And from then it was like,
well, you still have a character though that does come home that's from that area.
Yeah. I still did that move. It works really well as a secondary character. But with the sheriff, then the second that I was on that and I was thinking about, here's someone who's like trying to protect his small little hometown, but like that town doesn't actually exist anymore because all of these new people have flooded in. So it's like a kind of Sisyphean effort. Not even Sisyphean. It's like he's fighting a fight that's already been lost.
Right.
In a way. And that's such an analog to actual small town existence, because small towns, they just bleed people away forever, right? Like they get smaller. I mean, I grew up in a town of, at the time it was 300 people. Now it's like 150 people.
Oh, wow.
And
just a generation.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I graduated from high school in 2000? So 25 years.
Yeah.
But then I thought about my dad, and like, my dad still treats it like nothing ever, he just like, he really wants that town that he grew up in to still exist, and kind of acts as if it does in some ways.
Well, because giving up on that isn't just giving up on the town. That's giving up on a whole perspective. That's an experience, letting that go. Yeah, and that's, I mean, his childhood, like, he was part of a family that ran the movie theater in town. It was like of that era. That's right, because your family had the movie theater.
Yeah. So it was like the whole town got together every weekend to watch movies and watch the newsreels, and it was this whole connected, beautiful thing. And so that, that's kind of just to give you a sense of like the way that I find my way into a character, where then I was like, okay, this guy's basically my dad, and has this attitude and this hang up, and is fighting the impossible battle. And I mean, man, like you said, like somebody fighting the impossible battle. Yeah. I'm a sucker for that any day.
It's just good stuff.
Yeah. So, it's not like, I'm never trying to do like, I'm not Chris Nolan here, right? Like, I'm not out to like, I never want to write something and people come away from it. And this is not to criticize Chris Nolan. It's just a different thing where it's like, oh man, that guy is so smart. Like, I just want people to be sucked into the world, sucked into the characters, sucked into the book, feel like, man, I went for a ride and I like felt some stuff emotionally.
Well, you've described yourself as a writer, not as auteur, but as a worker.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up on a farm.
Yeah. Like putting the work in, sitting down at the typewriter, hammering that out. And that's a very specific image that evokes.
Yeah, well, and I should say, like, I don't have a typewriter, but I do have a clacky keyboard.
I've been telling people that you type on a typewriter.
It is like my keyboard. It's got the like clack 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 to it. It's close. Yeah, no, I mean, I always say like most of the days that I write, it's not like I'm I'm like, oh, like the muse is here.
Burt Reynolds from Boogie Nights, they'll remember me for this.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Or even the thing I always bring up, and it's you know, it's better if they're like anyone listening to this, like just go look up this meme afterwards. But Hugh Jackman in Swordfish when he's hacking and he's just like standing up at his keyboard with this giant grin on his face. It's like, I'm hacking! I'm hacking! That's how I think about writing. It's like, yeah, I'm writing. I'm like, no, I'm just like, man, I'm kind of tired. I'm like, I don't feel very inspired, but I'm going to like crank this out. And then tomorrow I'm going to rewrite it and make it better.
Well, what's interesting too about this whole process? So you sit at not the typewriter, evidently. My life is a lie.
Just keep.
All right, you sit at the typewriter.
You can edit that out. Edit that out.
No, that's all. I can't do that. We're journalists, damn it. No, but you do this very solitary act for your career where you're sitting alone at your typewriter writing. Next thing you know, you're on the phone with old Richie Cunningham himself.
Yeah.
Ron Howard. And now you've made the move to Hollywood, which is not
Figurative move.
Yeah, don't leave.
No.
But that is not a solo activity. That is not something that's done in isolation. This is a very 180.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, Godfall it's going to be a TV show.
Yeah. So kind of, God, the journey of Godfall is like, you know this, but I'll for the sake of the listener, I will give the quick version of it. So Godfall, I like wrote it. You know, I had a lit agent. I gave it to him. He had it for 2 years and never read it.
What a great agent.
He was awesome.
Yeah. I need to get his number from you.
Yeah. Still subsequently, like, have never heard anything from him about all the money that he lost out on.
That's called shame.
Yeah.
And I hope he feels it every day.
I hope so. No, I'm sure. Yeah, he's a nice enough guy. So, you know, then it was like I had to find a new lit agent. That was a whole process. Finally found someone. We're ready to take the book out. I've like just started taking the book out and the pandemic hits. And at the start of the pandemic, the publishers just like everything froze. No one's picking up any books. Everyone's like, this is great. We're not buying anything. So then the book just sits and sits. And then it's like, once a book is sitting, it's really hard. Like you don't, even though like, you know, another 6 months later, the industry kind of started moving again. It's just like, you're sort of in the pile of books that are just in limbo. And it takes a lot of luck to get out of limbo. So I knew there was this small press that would publish the book. And I was just like, let's just do it. Let's just get it out. I mean, I made like $500, probably, maybe.
Hey, man, that's money. It's professional.
Yeah. I was like, but you know what? I was like, if I get this book published, then I'm a novelist.
Right.
And then, like, who knows about Godfall, but like, I'll just write another novel and maybe get it at a bigger press. So the book's about to come out, and I had a new manager in LA for Hollywood stuff, and which was all hypothetical to this point. Like, I had never had any real stuff happen out there, and I had told him about the book, and he had seemed interested, but not like I didn't get the sense of like, oh, he's dying to sell this thing. But then I wanted to get press for the book. So my guy's Danny out in LA. I said, hey, Danny, like, do you know any people that, are book reviewers? Because he's a guy that sells books to, my guy's a guy that sells books to movie studios. And he's like, oh, yes. Oh, yeah, your book's coming out. Send it to me. So I sent it to him. This is like end of the writer's strike out there.
Okay.
So, 2 years ago, I guess now. And Danny reads the book in a day.
Wow.
And he's just like, oh my God, Van, like, I'm going to sell the hell out of this book. And, I've been around the block.
Right. You're like, oh, you say that to all the girls?
Yeah. I was like, cool. And then the next day he sends me a list of who he's going to send it to. And, it's like Ridley Scott was the first name on the list. And then from there, you know, it's like Ron Howard. And,
You're like, sure, put Santa Claus on there too.
yeah. And I was like, man, none of these people care about me. Like, they did just whatever. So I was like, you know, go with God. And, you know, we'll see. So I'm just, and I had just taken a new job at an ad agency. Like, I was just sort of like, I'll just, like, writing's going to have to be this thing on the side for me.
Sure.
I had 2 comic book publishers go bankrupt, or like
That's
effectively
right, you
bankrupt.
did, yeah.
So it was just like, well, you know, I gave it my shot. Like, I'll keep writing. It'll be my little hobby. And then all of a sudden, my guy out in LA texts me. He's like, "Buckle up." I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, "You're gonna get some offers on this." And I said, "Dude, can you get me like, I don't know, like $5,000?" And he just starts laughing.
Big money.
Yeah. He's like, "Man, come on, man." So it ended up, we got 12 offers.
Yeah, Deadline actually used the word bidding war.
Yeah. I mean, and for context, my guy Danny, the most bids that he had ever gotten on any book that he ever took out, and like, this is his job, he does this a lot, was 4.
4 bids.
4 bids. And that's like, that's a lot. So 12 is insane. And then I'm just having like, I was still at this job, and
So you've got to go back and clock in the next day.
yeah, so I'm just like at work, and this all happened over the span of like 2 weeks, because it's time, you know, it's like once bids start coming in, it's like everyone's going, it's bid, and you like go back and forth with people to try to like escalate the bids and get them going against each other, but you know, you're trying to get to like an end point fairly quick. So all these people, you know, it's like if you put a bid in, then you get the right to meet Van.
The right?
Right. Like people are like, "Oh, we want to, like, we love the book. We want to talk to Van." And my manager's like, "Yeah, you got to bid first."
Got to pay to play, baby.
Right. And I was like, "I'll talk to whoever. I don't, you know, whatever." So then I'm like at work, and I'm like, hey y'all, I gotta skip this meeting. I gotta go do a Zoom call with Ron Howard, and they're like, "What? you what?" Yeah, Academy Award-winning director Ron Howard. I gotta go. I gotta go meet with him.
He won the right to talk to me.
Yeah, like I can't go to that huddle with you guys. Like, I gotta skip it.
Have fun at the scrum, guys.
Right. So yeah, then it ended up, Imagine and Ron Howard won the bidding war, and we signed with them. And so, yeah, and it's been, I mean, it's you know, Hollywood is an interesting thing. It's been a 2-year, very fast but very slow process of getting to the point of getting the show made. And, you know, the kind of nice thing on it is, like, when you do an option deal, it's like they're on the clock to get the show made. And if they don't, you know, hopefully they get it made. And if they don't, I get the rights back, and
rinse and repeat.
Yeah. But, you know, I mean, I picked Ron Howard. Like, I'm always, and I mean, it was, you know, it was, like, I'm not going to get into specific names, but it was like, the people other than Imagine and Ron Howard, I mean, there were some insane names on that list. But with Ron, you know, one is like, well, there's a director that's baked into it, but also, like, I'm a fan of Ron's movies, and I'm a fan of him as a human being.
Right.
And so, and I tell my manager this all the time, is like, I'm not out here trying to make the most money I can make. Like, I already have more money than I ever thought I would have, because, again, I grew up with, you know, very little.
Right. I mean, you made $500 off the novel. So.
Right. Yeah. That's just sitting in the bank.
Yeah. 90-day fund.
But yeah, so it's really, it's always like how to work with the right people, and there are stretches, like their TV show, it's like nothing. Okay, we're sprinting really hard. And so then I subsequently sold another project to another studio for a TV show that I'm show running, and that's much more, you know, involved, because, like, I'm the guy. I'm writing the pilot for it. I'm working with everyone, so I'm kind of across everyone. Like all the producers are connecting straight with me. So yeah, but it's nice. Like it's nice to not just be in my little writer shed by myself all the time.
Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, I mean, man, like I grew up where my wildest dream was to like write one superhero comic book, right? So I had done that by the time I was 27 or something. I think that was around the time I started DC, and so now, like, man, I'm just getting to do like the stuff that's so far beyond my wildest dreams ever were, right? So it's like it's all gravy and it's all fun. The TV and film writing, the thing that I like about I'm a very visual thinker, and so it's funny like taking Godfall out to Hollywood. Everyone is looking at it and they're like, "Oh, like you write in a cinematic way, and like you did that, like you wrote this cinematically to sell it to us." I was like, "No, this is how I write."
Yeah.
When I write, and like just to explain the way that my brain works, I could sketch out for you any room that I've ever been in.
Really?
Yeah. Like I don't know. I just like I can hold.
Was that like photographic memory, or is there a name for that? Or
yeah, I can't like if I look at a book, like I can't like take a snapshot of the words on the page. Like there are people who can do that, where they could like recite any page of any book that they've ever read to you, and I can't do that. But it's like spaces and people's faces and stuff like that. Like it's there in my head.
And so if I've got to plan a heist, I'm going to get you to scope out.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Noted.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll talk.
Yep.
Offline.
You shouldn't record that part.
Yeah. But yeah. So when I write, I actually am just sitting and I like go into my head and imagine the setting, and I build it out, and it becomes fully real. And sometimes I use actual places, or like riff on actual places, and then I can like put the characters into place, and let them talk and let them interact. And then I'm really just writing what I'm seeing.
It sounds like you're doing journalism again at that point.
I mean, it kind of is. But so screenwriting is actually great because to do that, it's like prose. I have to translate the visual into prose, and I have to make sure that it's like the language has to be pretty because there's nothing to cover my ass. If it's not, it's
right.
It's
because bad writing is bad writing, and that can tank anything.
Yeah, for sure. And so screenwriting is just like I literally just describe what I'm seeing in my head. So it's kind of like the easiest form of writing to me, or maybe I should phrase it as it feels like the most natural extension of the way that the stories actually look in my brain.
No, that makes perfect sense. So when you're in the writer's room, like how does that compare then to other writers when they approach stuff?
Yeah, so we're not quite to the stage of having a room with other writers. So the deal that I got on this other project is just for a pilot, which honestly, like to get a deal for a pilot is an incredibly rare thing, and especially as an incoming, relatively new TV writer, like it was pretty unheard of. So it was a great deal. But basically, I'll write the pilot. We'll sell it to a channel or a streamer or whoever, and then we'll form the room and start on subsequent episodes because I'm just like I'm not going to write every episode, but I'm working with this experienced writer that the studio brought in to essentially be a mentor, and so it's really and I mean he's just worked on incredible stuff and there's just so much of like is like he's teaching me little stuff about screenwriting, but then also we have very similar approaches but different in some ways. And I don't know, I mean it's my favorite thing in the world is to talk to creative people kind of any discipline, because I feel like I'm always learning. You learn something from everyone. But yeah, that's probably my favorite thing in the world is just to like hang out with really cool, really creative people and talk shop.
Have they been accommodating to you, welcoming to you? Has Hollywood embraced you?
It's the weirdest thing, and I just like I don't really understand, but you know, the way things happen, like if you're a little bit like toast of the town in Hollywood, like everyone wants to meet with you, and you know, it used to be called the water bottle tour, although they don't give out water bottles anymore. Now they give you a cup full of water.
Okay.
But you know, you go to every like producer, every production company, every studio, all that, and the people meet you and they give you some water and they talk and they ask what you're working on, and then it's you just do that 1,000 times and hope that like one of them connects the dots and gives you some job in the future.
Right.
And so I've done a little bit of that. I mean, I made it very limited, but I just treat it like, are these people that I want to be friends with?
That's got to be tough.
Maybe that's not even the right. It's just sort of like, do I vibe with these people? I'm looking for like, who are people I really connect with, like that I think I can make great art with, and that we will enjoy the process of doing that together. And what's really interesting is like I still hear from people. I mean, I still have people like more and more people wanting to meet with me, but I also like I regularly hear from people that are like, hey, like we're still here, and like if you want to do something with us. I'll be like, well, I'm really busy right now, but you know, like you guys a lot, you know, we'll make something happen down the line. And it's not that I'm blowing them off. It's just literally I've been so busy this year that I couldn't, you know, it would be negligent for me to sell something else.
Sure.
But every meeting that I've had basically is people have really been incredibly kind, incredibly supportive, but also they seem to really like the way that I talk about storytelling, and I think also just generally like who I am as a person, which is cool because I'm not out there trying to put on like a dog and pony show. Like I would fall on my face if I, you know,
right,
went out there with some pretense. I am who I am, and I don't think they necessarily get a lot of that. So yeah, like I'm just. I don't know, be like, yeah, like I'm pretty much like normcore.
Well, I get it. You're not desperate. I feel like people smell desperation, and that's a turnoff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there's that, and I get it because man, it's tough. Like it's so tough to get stuff going and get work, and like God only knows why I got so lucky that all this stuff has fallen on me, but you know, it's put me in a place where it's not, oh, what's the next thing I can get? It's, you know, all right, let me really discern what's the right next thing.
How has your background in comics translated to this new career?
I mean, comics are a great training ground because especially like superhero comics, you're just like, you're churning so fast and there's a lot to be said for just knowing how to make choices efficiently.
Right.
You think about like drawing comics, right? And not, you know, I drew a little bit coming up, not much, but I know enough artists that I feel like I can talk about this.
You've been around.
But, you know, when you sit down to draw a comic book page, like you have the script in front of you and, okay, I have to start making decisions about layout, or I have to make decisions about, do I do a general sort of like approach or, a design structure or in every single page. And then, okay, I've got this. Do I frame this as this kind of shot, this kind of shot, this kind of shot, this kind of shot? And so even just like one comic book page, as an artist, you're facing, I don't know, thousands of little creative choices. When you're writing a comic, I mean, it's a little harder to explain the choices that you make because it's you know, it's not as like literally black and white ink on a page.
Sure.
But it's the same thing. And so I think there are people who get really paralyzed by all of that. Like, oh, do I do this? Did I do that? Oh, did I make a wrong choice? And the thing is, like, you're going to make wrong choices. if you make a 1,000 decisions on a page, 100 of them might be wrong, or at least like not the perfect decision. And that's really what it is. It's like not getting caught up on, is this perfect? Is it not? It's like, man, just get work done and go.
Right.
So that's great training. Like, I think the visual thinking is really great. Comics are great training for collaborating if you do it right, you know, finding the right people to work with, being able to communicate with people who have, you know, so like sometimes you're working with people all around the world, but just, I think especially writing comic book scripts, like it's just getting your ideas across it efficiently to the artist. And I always, the way that I would write comic book scripts, the way that I try to write them is not like, hey, here's an instruction manual.
Right. You're not giving the artist a paint by number.
Right. Yeah, with your little Allen wrench to go and assemble this. No, it's just like, here's a letter that I've written to you as a human being that is a starting point of this thing that we're building.
One of my favorite things that you've done is ARCA, your original graphic novel that you did with Jesse Lonergan. When that came out, you said that Jesse surprised you with what came back. And it feels like that's what you're describing here. You didn't give instructions, you conveyed story, but what he turned in, you said, above and beyond.
Yeah. And, you know, Jesse is such a perfect example of that because, and I knew his work, right? Like I chose him, or I went to him and asked, you know, if he would like to work on this project for a reason. Like I was this huge fan of his and had followed him on Instagram for a while, and then he randomly followed me. And I sent him this message like, man, I am obsessed with your stuff because it's so design centric.
Yes.
He's just like, you know, comic books, it's story plus art plus design. And people always forget about the design component. But
that part falls by the wayside.
And Jesse,
more often than not.
Yeah, Jesse is just like A+ at that. So I know like this is going to be incredible if I can get him to work on something with me. Like, please. And he was like, man, I read your James Bond adaptation. That was awesome. I'm a huge James Bond fan. I was like, wait, what? Like, you like me?
Oh, shucks.
Yeah. So we got working together, and Jesse will do this thing where he'll map out a design template for the whole book, where it's a grid. Like he has a grid structure for every book that he works on, and they're different grid structures. And you know, most people, like, you look at like, okay, like Watchmen, the nine panel grid. That's kind of the classic simple, like obviously Tom King's a big fan of that, and that's fine. But Jesse's like, no, this is a like 24 panel grid. But the thing is, he's not making 24 little rectangular panels. It's a structure that then underlies that when each page, he's building off of, okay, I have these chunks, I have these elements to work with, but it has to adhere, like the blocks have to click somewhere on these lines, like somewhere on this grid. Mm-hmm. So, but that can mean that you could have a page with 40 panels. Like, you know, or it could be, you know, 2-panel pages, but it's structured in a really weird way.
Which I feel like that would be so easy to feel cluttered and too busy, and never once does his work look anything remotely like that.
No, it's
masterful is the only way I can describe how he creates a page.
Yeah, he's just I would say like I would put him up there among the best working artists. Certainly, I think the best storyteller among working artists. So what I said is like, man, I'm just going to generally write 3 to 6 panel page scripts. I'm never going to hand you a script page that's like, hey, do this crazy, like this design thing where you do this and this and this and this. Like, I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to put elements in the script that I think you're going to have fun with. You know, there's like, there's a robotics lab in ARCA, and there's a scene where intentionally someone knocks over this jar that's full of cybernetic eyeballs, right?
Yeah, I remember the scene.
And I just I didn't say anything to Jesse about like, hey man, draw a whole bunch of eyeballs bouncing all over that then become the thing that like carry the reader's eye through the page. I didn't say anything about it. I just said like knocks over a jar full of eyes, the eyes go everywhere. I knew Jesse was gonna have fun with that. And he did. Like he crafted this incredible page where the eyes became this element that actually like they literally bounced through like Plinko, like through the rest of the page and tie the page together. I had no idea it would look like that. My job is like the tee is there, he's there with the bat. Let me just put the ball on the tee.
You knock it out the park.
Yeah, like you're gonna hammer it, man. All I have to do is not like miss setting the ball on the tee.
I imagine, I've talked to other writers, and I imagine that there has to be some level of anxiety when working with artists, and vice versa, artists working with writers. It doesn't sound like that existed with Jesse.
Well, it was something that I had to learn early on, which again, like I talked about, like I'm a very visual thinker, right? So when I'm writing a comic, I see it in my head. And if I was any good as an artist, like I would just be like, oh, I'll just draw it. Well, the way I would draw it would never equal the thing that's in my head. But I had to learn to give up the vision that's in my head.
How hard was that?
It was kind of tough. And that was especially like superhero comics, like Green Lantern Corps. I was working with Bernard Chang on that. And I don't entirely understand why to this day. Bernard really did not like me.
Really?
And I think some of it was circumstance. I think I was really inexperienced. I don't know if I said something. We never talked again after the end of that. We actually stopped talking in the middle of that run.
Oh, wow.
Because it was just like, it was just bad. And I think some of it was that I was like trying to be overly controlling, and some of it was just, it was a weird circumstance where like he was on the book before I was, and I came in as a replacement, and it was like the book was a month late before, like I had a week to write my first script.
Yeah, you were thrown in.
Yeah, it was a mess. And so I learned a lot from that, because I still feel terrible about that. That's like, to me, that's like the biggest failure in the world. Not like, did the book do well or not do well? It's that we came away from that, and that artist was like, man, I don't want to work with that guy. So it forced me to kind of look at, okay, like I need to be really thinking about the way that I approach this and what's the experience that I'm trying to create for these artists, because I want any comics I do on the business side, on the creative side, on just all of it, I want them to come away saying, one, that was like absolutely fair, like everything was conducted honestly and fairly, and two, I had a great experience. I got to draw the stuff that I want to draw. I got to do this book the way that I want to do it. Like this book became something personal, important to me. So yeah, no, it was a great question. And that's just life. Like you're going to screw stuff up. You're going to learn from it. Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah. Like if you have any self-awareness, you're going to learn from it.
Yeah. Which most people maybe.
Sure. I'm going to say you're hopeful.
Yeah.
Man, listen, before we wrap up, you said something earlier about like all these good things happening to you and who knows why. Having known you for like 10 years now.
Quickly, because I was trying to think about this.
Yeah.
We met at Dragon Con.
Yes.
Which one was it? I think it's longer than
it may have been, because we were both new fathers, and we recognized the fatigue in the other.
So it was 2014?
I think so, because like I was exhausted.
Okay.
I come over to your table to talk to you, and you had that 1,000-yard stare too. And we were both brand new fathers and just absolutely exhausted, and we never once talked about comics.
Yeah.
The entire time.
Yeah.
It was, what have we done? Why did we do this?
Like, when was the last time you slept? I don't remember either.
It really was. It was just 30 minutes. Because
Yeah.
I remember it was dead. There wasn't anybody really hanging out. And it was just, Oh God, somebody else who knows what I'm going through right now.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, like, the people that I'm closest with in the comics community, there's absolutely none of it that's like, oh, we sat around, we really talked about Batman.
Right.
Like I'm here to talk about like life or.
Yeah, you and I, like, because you coach your kid's baseball team, I coach my kid's soccer team. I think whenever we're together, it's like, hey, how's the season going?
Yeah.
But that.
Yeah, sorry, I hijacked it.
No, you didn't. But it goes. What I'm saying though is, I think it's because you're a good person, and you put a lot of good into the world. You're authentic. You're genuine. You're the kind of person that when you say, hey, how are you doing? It's not a nicety. Like, you legitimately want to know how people are doing. And I think that the success you're seeing is an example of good things happening to a good person. And that's my theory. Take it as you will, but that is my firm belief, is good things happening to a good dude who firmly deserves it.
Well, so. I appreciate it. You know, I think I have had in my life the benefit of having a lot of very good people around me to show me the way.
Sure.
And to I don't know, to know how to prioritize life and to focus on the right things. And yeah, ultimately it's a huge blessing to get to do what I do, and I do, as naive as it is, I do this stuff because, and you see it like going to a comic book convention where someone comes up and they've like traveled all this way, and they want you to sign their comic or their book or whatever, and then they start to talk about like, oh, this thing hit me so hard, this one part. I mean, I had people like Pinocchio Vampire Slayer, right? Like the most absurd premise ever, right? I've had, a lot of people come up to me like, I was sobbing at the end of this book. Like, how did you make me cry at Pinocchio Vampire Slayer? Right. And it just shows you like this stuff affects people.
Yeah.
How affected am I by the books that I've read and the movies I've seen, the shows I've watched? So, I really want to use whatever opportunity I have, whatever gifts that I'm given, to just, it's like if I can just make the world a little bit of a better place, like that's it. Like if on, grand scale of balance, like if I pushed a little of the pile to the good side, however much, maybe, 1 grain of sand, like that's it. That's enough.
That was a grain of sand that wasn't there yesterday. Van, I appreciate you. Thank you so much, dude.
Thanks for having me.
So there you go, Van Jensen. Good writer, good human. I've known Van for over a decade now, and it's been wild watching the star take off like it has these past few years. And I know I said it in the interview, but it needs repeating. The man is a class act. He's also a prime example of just sticking with the art, right? He could have tapped out at any time, but he kept sitting down and showing up and doing the work. So my would-be creators out there grinding away, wondering when your moment is going to happen, be like Van. Keep at it, keep showing up, keep making your art. That does it for this edition of the Comic Shop Show. We'll be back next week with another guest. In the meantime, follow us on Instagram at Infinite Realities Comics. Check out our website, www.infiniterealitiescomics.com, and sign up for our newsletter. And most importantly, if you're in the Atlanta area, we're going to be visiting anytime soon, come visit us at the Comic Shop. Infinite Realities is open 7 days a week, 11 to 6, till 10 o'clock on Fridays. We want to see you. We want to hang out with you. We want to talk comics with you, live and in person. Well, that's it. Until next time, folks, be safe out there.